So just a bit of a trigger warning. Obviously on this channel we speak mental health. There'll be all sorts of topics come up within the conversations on here with the guests I have. So just a trigger warning. Obviously, if it's not your thing, mental health discussions and mental health topics, the whole aim of this channel is to raise awareness for sensitive subjects, really, and try and help people watching who may be going through similar situations or heartache as the guests I'm going to have on here. So just like I say, a bit of a warning. If that's not your sort of thing, that's absolutely fine. Maybe just turn it off now. But if you're here for that, that's brilliant. And like I say, we'll get into it. Now then, welcome back to Full Time to Talk. I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Callum. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. It's one of them. You just getting through.
It's a nerve-wracking one, this, mate, for me. As I've told you off camera, you're like a little brother to me since I've known you, which I'd have never met you if it wasn't for Leeds United football, YouTube. So there's a lot of good that comes out of that, and we'll get into Leeds United stuff a little bit later. But yeah, I've got a few. I've had to take notes on this one so I don't get derailed because, like I say, I think a lot of you, and you've been through a lot for such a young lad. I mean, how old are you, Callum?
21. So yeah, 21. Pretty much kid. Or just an adult life.
Yeah, and to be fair, mate, you're out of the people I've spoken to on here already. You know, you're one of the people who's still struggling today. You know, really struggling. Like I had Jam on last one, and don't get me wrong, daily battles for everyone. I mean, I feel on top of the world at the minute, but I still have my days. I think mental health's something you struggle with for life, and you've just got, you're never really cured of it. You just deal with it on a daily basis. But currently, you're really struggling, and obviously, we'll touch on that towards the end. But if anyone doesn't know you, mate, who are you? Where you're from? You know, what do you do? What's your daily routine like? What's going on in your world at the minute, pal?
Yeah, so obviously, I'm Callum Sharp. I do have a very small YouTube channel, which I only do previews of matches where I'm just starting off and reviews of matches. The best one I did, I think, was the Swansea one where I had a full-blown kick-off, where a lot of people did. It felt like the end of the world. Yeah, as Matty said, I'm 21. I live in Keighley. Spotted Leeds. You can tell by the horrible old top all my life. It's literally my passion, as it says my name. It's without Leeds, nothing really keeps me on the straight and narrow in terms of positive at the minute, like Matt's saying, but everyone needs that good in life, whether it's a hobby or a football team or anything. So yeah, Leeds is huge, especially now. Yeah, if people want to go check out my channel, I haven't posted in a little while. I did post a little bit of the promotion celebrations. Awful footage. It didn't look the best. I'm just shouting into the phone.
That's all it needed, Callum. That's all it needed.
A little bit drunk because I don't drink much. I'm not a big drinker. So yeah, I'm a bit of a lightweight. But yeah, it's it leads everything to me, and so thankful for my dad. You know, get my first top of me where it pretty much started. I didn't get a choice. Didn't get a choice what team I supported. It was Leeds. Pretty much spans out my own family.
I love that, and everybody, like you said there, everybody needs something, don't they? And I call it a crutch. Leeds United, as you know, we speak a lot, and Leeds United's my crutch. I have my family. I'm lucky that I've got a family, a beautiful wife, beautiful children. But sometimes, when those demons come, sometimes nobody or nothing's enough. But the excitement of a game sometimes can just get you through that. If you're having a bit of a dark time on a Thursday or Friday, and Leeds are playing on Saturday, sometimes that's just enough. Callum, I want to see what Leeds do at weekend. I want to, that. It sounds so trivial and daft to some people, but football it's massive, mate. It's such a huge thing in so many people's lives, and it's beautiful, and it brings people together. And we like the tough moments, don't we? As much as the highs sometimes, because you don't appreciate the highs without the lows, mate. And as Leeds fans, we know too well about those lows, don't we, pal?
Yeah, up and downs in the song. Yeah, just touching on every Saturday, every Sunday, or whenever a stupid kickoff is. I love it. And if we lose it, I can't stop thinking about it all week. Mentally, and my missus is like, "Why? It's a football game. It's like, well, all you're watching is a bunch as it is now. All you're doing is watching a bunch of men running around the fields kicking a ball, and it's more than that. And I think fans make it more than that, and channels are making it more than that because it's getting bigger in terms of more fans are being more confident speaking on camera about it, how much they love the club, or if they're going through a tough period in the club. And yeah, it's everything.
There's content everywhere, isn't there, in terms of not just on YouTube, but obviously you'll be too young to understand, mate. I'm pushing 40 next. I'm 38 now, but like looking back, Match of Day might be only place you could actually watch highlights of the game if the game weren't televised. There were no YouTube, none of this when I was younger, and you had to wait for the game. Outside the game, apart from reading the newspaper, there were no. Whereas now, Callum, even if you're not international break or whatever, there's football on your phone. You can log on, online and get football at your fingertips. Now it's everywhere, and if it is your passion, hopefully it's enough to bring you through them dark moments, mate. And yeah, like I say, I know how much you love Leeds. You know how much I love Leeds. It's brought us together, which is a blessing, and it's amazing. And like I say, with I'm doing an Imagine Not Being Leeds charity walk out in September. You've been first name put down there. So that's something to really look forward to, something that you're looking forward to, and that spurs you on as well. So yeah, it's a great friendship we've formed, mate, and I'm really happy with that. But let's get into it anyway, Callum. I think one of the things that makes me very drawn to you as a person is you got diagnosed with autism. You're autistic, however you want to word it up. I'm not the most educated man, but let's just say you're autistic, which means you have daily struggles. You're slightly behind on development to your peers at school, I assume. I understand this if no one knows, because I have our Jonah, who's a twin, 6-year-old, has autism, struggles daily, stuff he can't do, stuff he may never be able to do, but whatever his ceiling is, as a parent, I've got to try and make him strive to hit that ceiling, Callum. And like I say, your story hits a lot with me because I know I sort of envisage what you'll have gone through. I'm going to read a lot more today, and it resonates with me because I have these worries about what Jonah's going to do, and it makes me proud when I look at you, and I know you're struggling now, and I know you're not very proud of yourself, which hurts. But I think you're a lovely lad for what you've been through. You're a proper gentleman, kind soul. And no matter what you go through, I think if ultimately that's how you end up as a person, Callum, what more can you ask for? The rest of it, will come when it comes, mate. So I'm proud of you as a person for overcoming everything you've overcome and being the person you are today. And I hope my son Jonah emulates something like that. But I'd love to just get into, your diagnosis. Has your mum spoke to you much about your age of diagnosis? How were those early years? If you could, what can you remember as through that as a kid?
Yeah, my mum, obviously, it's not just me with autism. It's my 2 other brothers, so it's massive. It's huge. It's everyone's at different levels. My brothers. Yeah, throughout my very early school years, I always knew I was behind. My handwriting it's awful, and it's one of my huge insecurities.
Really?
Every time I have to write, I can't write. It's always been, and I've always felt when in primary school that I was always behind my peers. I could never properly concentrate. I could never really focus in a class of 30. So it was very hard, and I knew there was something, but I could as a little kid.
Were you not diagnosed early?
No, it took 8 years for a diagnosis. So it's that's the worrying thing. I think now more parents are recognising the signs early. It was my grandma. Rest in peace. I hope she's okay up there. Fortunately, did die of awful thing in cancer. She was the first thing that noticed that there were signs there, and look, it wasn't my mum or dad that were party to it or didn't want to be and didn't want to notice it, because no one wants their kid to be seen as different. They just couldn't see it, and just little signs. I always used to line up my trains, which is a tray, line up. I always, it's. And I never noticed it. You wouldn't, would you? You just see it as a
normal to you, Callum. It was normal to you. Right?
It felt normal, and I'd always come in the bedroom I'm currently in now that I used to be when I was a little kid. Then I've moved around the house. It was just lining up my trains, and it went from there. And it was going to meetings and meetings. Callums, it's a horrible place in terms of just endless meetings. That my mum would thought it were leading to nowhere, and the amount of years of going through it, it just felt like never ending. And I think I've never seen my mum cried as much in a happy way or emotional way when we first got diagnosed. I got diagnosed when I was 11, but throughout them years in primary school, I was always behind, and school was awful. I got bullied because I felt different, and I never got that support that I've wanted, especially in primary school. That they didn't. I don't think they didn't see the signs, because it's only recent, like I just said, that that teachers, because legally they're not allowed to say that oh, your child or X child or Y child's got something, because it's seen as unprofessional. But in my opinion, it has to be. Even if parents can't see it, some parents can't. They're not blind to it; they just don't see it.
Yeah,
they need to. They need to, because it's we've got a full generation, a lot of generation. This one that are undiagnosed, that do have something, that are not being recognised and not getting the support they need.
It's a bit of an NHS crisis at the minute, Callum.
Yeah.
I won't lie. Like, you saying there, you took about 8 years to get a diagnosis. That means your mum took you early stage of primary school, 3-4-year-old, and by the time your whole primary school years, you were waiting on that diagnosis, which is brutal. And it's like that now. We were very lucky. Jonah got diagnosed in lockdown, which is mental, at 2.5 years of age. We got really lucky, but since diagnosis, the support's not been there really for us. We've had 4 years really struggling, try to get him into a school that suits his needs more. Really, really difficult. So there's parents out there that'll take a lot from you opening up and speaking now, which is brilliant. I'd like to know, obviously primary school was difficult. You then get your diagnosis going into high school. What changes physically at school? Do you have a one-to-one? Do you go to a different school than a mainstream school? Or is it just the same, but you just know why you're different? What happened at high school, mate?
Still the same, unfortunately. It was completely the same.
Really?
Still felt behind, still was behind, still not getting the support, especially in year. All of them.
No one-to-one, Callum, no?
No, I never had a one-to-one.
Wow.
Never got mentioned. Never. I never misbehaved in school. I was always
Really?
good, which maybe that was the issue, that I felt I was hiding towards. Maybe if I'd have misbehaved, something had been picked up, because people saw it as it was naughty kids who had some, or had autism, or it, because I have ADHD as well.
I'm surprised to hear. Don't get me wrong, you're a good person. You're a great person. But I'm surprised to hear you went through your school life without no support. You've been diagnosed autistic. You've got ADHD. I can't believe that it wasn't too intense for you, that you didn't overreact, Callum. I'm surprised you was able to sort of mask it. You talked to me a lot about masking. Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't bubble out though, because the anxiety. You struggle with anxiety now, but the anxiety at school must have been chronic, mate.
Yeah, it must have been, and I still think I'm still catching up, because of how, and the key word was masking. That's it. And was it on purpose? No, because I shouldn't have had to mask it. No. School knew that I had it. Whether they cared or not, I don't know if that's the right word, but I didn't get any support. A one-to-one never got mentioned, and it was really hard. And I don't think any of my friends even knew I had it. No one seemed. It felt like I was just on my own, and it was lonely.
Callum, did you understand what autism was?
No.
Did you get diagnosed and go, right, let me read about it?
Because I was very underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I think it was only college where I actually started to catch up. Not that I had a brain of a child, but because I hadn't been educated well enough to my needs in the areas now. It's why I'm happy that I'm seeing more support. I wouldn't say it's not to the point where it's satisfied, because like you were saying, there's an NHS crisis still, where a lot of kids are still waiting on diagnosis. But as you were saying on Jonah, that's quite quick, and I think they've had to, because of the rampant increase of amount of kids of getting it, because I think it's genetic, and I'm not sure which one of my parents has got it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it's probably my dad.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, school was awful. I did get bullied. Um, I got called into school a couple of times by the head of year, if you want to call it, like in charge of your own year. And it's when then I opened up to mum that only a couple of days before that meeting that I went down to a lake, to a bridge, and was gonna, commit suicide. It felt that bad that I was on
What
my own.
age? What age is that?
It was 11 because I just
Oh,
felt alone.
that is unbelievable.
I felt alone. I felt on my own, and I didn't feel like no one got me or supported me. I understood my parents did, but I don't. In my head, I don't think I knew they could handle me because I felt that was different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was saying, none of my friends, none of my teachers, no one knew. I was just a masked kid, a quiet
Yeah.
kid. Kept myself to myself. Never really got in trouble. I think I only got about 2 detentions in 7 years. So
Yeah.
I was a bit of a goody two shoes. Not that I wanted to be. I think, like I was saying, maybe being noticed a bit more, maybe something. Well, it's a pun in it. Maybe I'd have been noticed and something
Yeah.
had been picked up on, and maybe they realised that maybe there is something that's not the same as every other student. So yeah, through school it was hard. I didn't get, and what made it even harder was when COVID hit. I didn't get to take my GCSEs,
Oh wow.
and I think I felt really because I remember the day before we got told we were in lockdown. I remember we were in maths. It was our 11th in the first week. No, sorry, no. In 2 weeks, we had 11 supply teachers because no one wanted our class. We were the bottom, and no one wanted us. And I
God.
mean that right there says it all. That no one wanted to take us on. And when people mention about lockdown, they thought they were laughing their heads off. I remember one time one of the supplies teachers was flirting with one of the teaching assistants when we were meant to be working. I mean, how
God.
unprofessional is that? You're meant to be
Yeah.
teaching a bunch of kids getting ready for exams, and you're
Yeah.
too
Sure.
busy flirting. I mean, it's unprofessional. It's not
Yeah.
right. And I noticed that,
Yeah.
and I remember noticing saying that's not right. Why are we not getting? Why are we just given workbooks? I
Mm.
don't. I didn't enjoy that. I like having that, like you were saying, one to one. It helped. That
Yeah.
I'd have understood it a bit more instead of just sticking a workbook in front of me, expecting me to know it when I didn't. I
Yeah.
got taught nothing.
No, it's not good at all, mate. Just bringing it back to that moment, you're 11-year-old and you're contemplating suicide. It's mad because obviously you say you're delayed in your learning, you feel behind on your peers and stuff at people your age. But on the other hand, at 11, to be so aware of wanting to do harm to yourself at 11, but I always think of an 11-year-old as everything should be Callum, and it should be sunshines, rainbows, butterflies.
Yeah,
There should be no worries at 11-year-old. They're the best years of your life when you're a kid. There should be, unless you've had something drastically go wrong, which some of us have, But honestly, I cannot believe at 11 you're having them thoughts, mate. Like I went through stuff early in life, but at 11 I didn't feel like you felt. I didn't feel like I wanted. That came later in life. Like at 11, the most brutal things I went through as a kid still didn't feel like it's mad to hear you speak like that at 11. You were so aware of mentally how you were feeling that you didn't even want you couldn't wake up tomorrow at 11. That's shocking to me, mate, and really sad. And there'll be a lot of people going through that now, feel like now kids, the pressure of school. I know a bit different now, but like with times with social media, kids are under so much stress already. And, life just strips away people's childhood, even if they haven't gone through anything too traumatic, just the way life is now. You've got to grow up fast. You've seen, nobody wants to be kids anymore. And you need that.
yeah,
That innocence should remain until you're a man, until you're a woman. You're a boy, you're a girl. Be a boy or a girl as long as you can possibly be, because it's a tough bloody world out there, Callum. And you need to enjoy your childhood. And yeah, it's really sad, mate. That's really a sugarcoat to me, as that pal.
yeah. Also, I think the anxiety that was. I remember telling my mum when I was sat there. I remember in Callums the meetings, and I came out of it, and she just cried her eyes out.
Yeah,
She had no idea what a little boy was going through, and to think that he was going to do that, it was heartbreaking. The anxiety started. I remember in one year. That's that when I first had the first hit of anxiety. We was in year 8 in an English class. Again with the supply teachers, it was ridiculous the amount we went through.
yeah,
I know people have sick days, but yeah, it was crazy. We were sat in the supply, and a film got put on, and we had to watch terrorists beheading civilians, and
You had
yeah,
to watch.
yeah, we had to. And
Why?
one of the other I don't know to this day. I remember one of the normal teachers that came in said that anyone who didn't want to watch it, they'd have a detention and they'd have to sit in that class.
Really?
Which, yeah, and he's still working there at this school. He's still working at the school now, which blows my mind. How
Oh,
unaware how a 12, 13-year-old, why would want to watch that. I have no idea why we had to watch that. I don't know how that relates to English or preparing for your options. When obviously now when you hit year 9, that's when you choose what you want to do for the next 2 years. How watching terrorists beheading people. And I remember it was just after the Manchester bombing, so it hit even more of how horrible it was, because I knew a few people that fortunately survived that horrible attack in
yeah,
the Ariana Grande concert. So it hit home, and a few of my classmates went to that, and to watch that days after,
yeah,
it was strange. It was, and I never wish I'd. And it's one regret I do have from school is I never asked why did we have to go through that, and it wasn't just us. A full week of class had to watch that, and it was put in the newspapers. Fortunately, the teacher was sacked and never allowed to teach again. But why is one of the other teachers involved still working there? You know why?
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't, and that's when anxiety hit. That I was really worried about what the rest of my school life was going to be like, and yeah, anxiety followed me around. Unfortunately, it was my enemy. My biggest bully was anxiety. It's something I still struggle with these days. It's a daily occurrence. Is anxiety. Mental health's an awful beater. It's just common, unfortunately, for a lot of men, for a lot of women.
And things like this help, Callum. It's getting, there's a stigma around it still for men to talk, but obviously mental health, for everyone, it's not defined by sex or race. Everybody has struggles, but like people are talking more, people are being brave, and you speak at days, obviously so brave. Want to move into now as you transition out of school and you go into the big wide world and become college, you're becoming more of an adult. I mean, do you want to touch on college and relationships you formed after school?
College was the best, I'd say, in terms of in college, as that's when I felt something. That's when I think I started to develop. It took that long, it's crazy and incredible. The first year, obviously, was lockdown, so it was a lot of Zoom calls online. Whether that was a good thing or not, I think one thing COVID's really hit for me and took me a while is socially, because we were just used to not socialising, not used to going out. You had an hour, the max, of going out for exercise. You couldn't meet up with people. So socially for me, that second year was hard of going back to college, going in person, meeting people, not being 2 meters away from people, because obviously the rules all went back to normal, if you want to call it. It was still hard. I felt more developed, and maybe I think lockdown matured me.
You treat more like an adult at college as well, Callum.
Yeah, you are.
You feel a little bit better in yourself because you're not seen as a kid anymore. They try and treat you a bit older.
Yeah, which is what I like. You didn't have to call. I remember the first 6 months I called my teachers at Miss. It was all I was used to, and they was like, "No, you can just call me by my name." It's like, I've been used to. I used to ask to go to the toilet when you could just go. It was, because you were just used to. That first year of college, I wasn't there, so it didn't feel like a transition straight away. So it took me a while to get into college. It was quite scary. Obviously, new surroundings. I've never been good with surroundings, new surroundings, new places. No, I remember when going on holiday. Just quickly onto that, and then we'll talk back onto college. I used to always ask where we're going. I used to ask 5, 6 times because anxiety was rushing into me. I had to know. It's again part of being autism is your mind has to be clear of what's happening around you. Decisions have to be made. It's routine. Routine's huge, and if your routine's messed up, you used to have a lot of meltdowns. And it was never. I wouldn't say it's never my fault because autism, which is huge now these days, is can't be used as an excuse. It plays a part, of course it does. It plays a huge part. And yeah, having meltdowns was common for me because I was worried. And anxiety played a part in that. I've
You
new
don't know how to
surroundings and
regulate your
changes.
feelings, mate.
No, you don't. And
It just yeah.
unfortunately, it was just lashing out
Yeah.
emotionally, and it was awful. It still happens these days. I still get angry a lot, and it's the aftermath I hate of it because it's anxiety that plays in that.
Yeah.
Because and I can't. I think I spent so many years bottling it up that now I can't. It has to come out, whether it's crying, whether it's shouting, whether it's swearing. It's awful. But yeah, in college, it was like you said, you're treated more like an adult. You feel a bit more grown up. COVID matured you because it's a full year. Everything's changed. So yeah, I remember meeting one of my partners, ex ones. It started off well at first. Like everything, you know, you're in your honeymoon period, and then within 6 months, things started to change. It was only a year, but in that year, a lot happened, and it's a lot to the point where
How old are you there, Callum? What age?
I was
16.
about 17, 18.
17. Right, okay.
Yeah, so I just starting to hit, if you want to call adult life.
And this is your first proper relationship, this one? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you want to call primary school relationships where you're going out for a day, then breaking up, and secondary school, it's not the same. It's you're breaking up with someone one day and going out with another. It's how primary school and secondary school worked. But yeah, it was the first proper one. Definitely new to me.
Yeah.
In terms of being with someone in that way. Yeah. And yeah, within 6 months, it went downhill. I remember going to her house a lot, and my mum wasn't a fan of it. And because I was, if you want to call it, in love with her, I didn't listen. So it felt like without her, without me realizing, everyone else was being driven away.
Yeah.
I was always at her house because I was, and I could never see the signs that it wasn't right or that I'm spending too much time. It was a very chaotic household. You know, kids would be dirty, there'd be clothes everywhere, food wouldn't be made. Her mum wasn't the best role model.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't bring them up. And that's not me slagging off any parents because I know parenthood is hard. It's not easy. But you try and do right by your kids, and I knew she wasn't. I never said, I wouldn't, because one, I didn't want to be disrespectful, and two, because she was inviting me into her house, whether it was the best household or not, I'm still being invited, which is still being appreciated no matter what the circumstances are. She was very violent in terms of, she'd always say little things. It started off with comments, little things like, you know, she couldn't see why you always at your house. You know, your mum doesn't care about you, she doesn't love you. It was just little things, and it really played a part because it felt like she used my autism in her advantage. It was manipulation. That's how it started off. Do you want to call coercive control, which is seen as separate these days, where it'd only be one, but unfortunately it was both physically and emotionally intertwining. It was starting off with little hits. My clothes she'd always mess up my clothes. You know, I remember my mum, she wasn't working at that point. She'd be on universal credit, so money was very tight. My dad, bless him, he works 60 or 70 hours a week just to keep a roof over his head. He's my biggest inspiration. You know, people have celebrities, my dad, because the amount he works, doesn't complain, just gets on with it because he knows he's got a roof over his head. Yeah. He's one of them where he's not very emotional, and that's where I think he does get the autism from.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'd mess up my clothes a lot. She wouldn't, and my mum would spend a lot of money on them. It wasn't big name brands, but it was still money that could have been spent on. Exactly, they'll buy and my items, and they'd always have something on like paint, or I'm not sure why. Maybe it was to put me down or feelings. And then it had started off with the punches. I remember going home one night with 2 black eyes, and my mum was like, "What's happened there?" I was like, "Oh no, it's just," I just hide it because I always knew from school masking it worked, and I didn't want to worry my mum because I thought I'd just take it.
Well,
Yeah, so I remember one night I said it as quite a lot. It was, I think there was four in one bedroom. It was a very tiny bedroom, box room if you want to call it. All the siblings were asleep. I think I was drinking. So like I was saying, I was only 17. So as much as I said I was goody two shoes, I hated drinking because I felt like I was breaking the rules. I was one that never really broke the rules in terms of socially, and I never went out much. I've never smoked a cig. I've never done drugs. It's not
like me, mate. Just like me.
not my scene. It's not what I enjoy. I've got no judgment towards people who do it. Everyone has their reasons and enjoyment. So yeah, everyone's different. But I remember drinking. It was my first. I drank a Copperberg, which is everyone's first drink cider, and people moved their way through other drinks. I didn't feel right. I felt sick. So I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and I remember just falling a little bit asleep. I was half asleep, and I remember something didn't feel right. My clothes were off, and I thought, I don't remember taking them off. I was drunk. Maybe I did it without realizing. You don't know what you do when you're drunk sometimes. And I just fell asleep. I remember waking up completely unclothed. I thought, I haven't done this. Yes, I was a little bit drunk, but I don't remember doing this. And I thought, I don't know what's happened. And then I asked, did we not? And I didn't say it, but I knew and she knew. She was like, oh, we did. You just didn't know. And I was like, I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
I was froze. I was like, what has just happened?
Yeah.
So it was awful, and it carried on in terms of hiding it and continuing happening, and every time it happens in total 5 or 7 times. And I didn't say anything because it felt very from where she lived, it was a very rough area. There was a lot of gangs. So if you want to call it men being men, I wouldn't want to say something like that because it'd be like, I wouldn't see myself as a man. I'd see myself as weak in that area. And
this is a problem with things like this. So what you've just said there is, physical assault, mental assault, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, all wrapped into one very toxic relationship, one very toxic girl, really. And it's hard. It's the exact same, no matter which way the roles are. But as a man, it seems very hard looking into your story there for you at 18 years of age, 17, 18 years of age, to go and tell somebody that your girlfriend's doing these things to you. And it shouldn't feel like that. And you know that. You know it's not, it's wrong. And if that were the other way around, you'd get the full letter of the law on you, But as a man, you will again put that mask on. There's no way at 17 or 18 you're going to want anybody to think you've been punched by your girlfriend. You've been sick. Because I know from, I live in a real man's world, even though I'm not manly at all, mate. You know me, mate. I'm not like that at all, but I work on building sites and stuff. If I were to go to work at 18 years of age, when I was your age, where I was in life, and say, my girlfriend took my clothes off and did X and Y to me, they'd go, get in there, good lad. Yeah, but I didn't consent. Yeah, shut up. Get on with it, you pansy. What's up with you? What are you whinging for? He got some on. He might have got some. What? Like, and that is still in society today. Dinosaurs out there who don't see that it's just as wrong, female to male, as it is the other way, which they would all agree the other way. It's 100% wrong. But people look past it because you're the male.
Yeah. The worst one was the last one where I was forced, and that was the worst.
Yeah.
I remember again. It was late at night. There was never a routine. Probably where I do get my really bad sleeping from.
Yeah.
I do have insomnia. I don't sleep much. It's all over the place, which is quite uncommon because I do have a routine. But with sleep, there's no routine. I remember she was like, "Are you wanting to do it?" And I was like, "No." no, no, I'm too. I just made up excuses, not
Yeah,
because I was terrified. I was like, no, I'm too tired, or it's a bit late, or I don't want to wake up the kids. I was like, no, no, you have to. And I was like, no, I was crying. I was on the floor begging because like, if you don't do it, it's over. So yeah, I had to because I felt like it was the only thing to save the relationship in my eyes. Because again, I was completely bewildered and not wanting to because I couldn't see what damage was happening.
yeah,
I knew it was wrong. I knew it wasn't right, but it felt like it wasn't right if I didn't have with her.
yeah,
And my mum knew something wasn't right with her. The first time she met her, she didn't. My mum's always, especially with my partner now, who been together nearly 3 years. She annoys me all the time. She's mental, but my mum and her get on like that. They're like best friends,
yeah. That's good.
and that's really good. It really makes me happy to see. Because my mum again's not got a very massive social life, so my partner really cheers her up.
Yeah,
My partner doesn't. I've not really opened up much about it with her because I don't even still because it's not something that can just come out with. It does take time. But yeah, yeah, I felt lost without my ex partner. Like, it was only a year, but with your first proper relationship, it felt like the best thing in the world having a girlfriend. And for someone who's not very social, I felt proud. But there was something that was very disagreeing about it, and that was she wasn't the person she was the person that everyone else could see, but not the person I could see.
yeah,
And I remember breaking up a lot, and she'd always manipulate me to get back together, and I was weak, and I just let into it. I gave up. I was like, it's not going to stop, is it? It was only when um, she moved away was when the release, a bit like Jam, like he was saying, where you just felt that release off your shoulders,
yeah,
and then maybe you felt, is it over? And it did. It felt it. It felt it. And I never one thing I never did after was cry. I felt happy because I felt it's over. You
yeah,
know, I won't. I'll call it pain now, but I won't call it pain then because I couldn't accept what had happened. Once I
yeah,
knew what happened, I couldn't accept it because I felt like it was below me, and
yeah,
I didn't want to put myself to that level.
yeah,
And yeah, it's very hard to open up about it. It's very emotional, and I hope people that do watch it take something from it. Especially that because it's common. Unfortunately, it's common a lot in these days with men.
yeah.
They don't want to open up because they feel that they don't they don't see it as not being a man as bad as it is a
Would it be
term to
embarrassing to
people.
talk about that for you? Would it, to go speak to someone? I would deem it would be embarrassing for you to say to your mum, to your friend,
Yeah,
this happened last night with my girlfriend, because it would be seen as she's your girlfriend. What's up with you? Do you get what I mean?
yeah,
That's how it
not
would be seen.
yeah, yeah, not by my parents, by probably my mates more.
Yeah,
They'd
yeah,
see it as like my parents said, especially my mum who's very very good, really massive support blanket. She's really helped me. My dad, he'd support me a lot. He's very old school. He's not a dinosaur, I wouldn't say.
no,
Obviously he's aware, but very old school in his ways. And it's very hard. And it's very, it's hard to accept what your child has been through and what someone else put them through, and especially a woman,
yeah,
because it wasn't seen as common.
no,
And my mates, they they like you were saying before, they just thought, oh, he's getting some, he's getting action.
yeah, yeah,
And again, I look back, as like, why would you think that? Why would you think after what I've told you that I consented it when I haven't? I've
yeah,
explained it, and it felt a lot to open up.
yeah,
And not to have that, not that I want, not that I begged for support, just that little bit of reassurance, like, no, that's not normal, or that's not right, or why is she doing this? It wasn't there, and that was going back to school. I didn't have the support, and I felt like a lot of people in society haven't, I won't say accept me, but haven't seen as fancy helping me out, because it's not, and it's been hard. And yeah, it was a really tough period, and still now
Still
trying
affects.
to accept it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it still affects on a daily basis.
this
Unfortunately,
this is
I
a
just
scary thing.
flashback.
This is a scary thing of being a parent as well. Obviously, you're not a parent yet. Hopefully, one day soon you will. Well, not soon, but one day you will be, mate, and you'll make a great dad. But it's scary thinking about letting any of your kids out into the big wide world. Obviously, I've got 4, as you know, 5, including my stepdaughter, and I love them all equally. But Jonas gets more of my focus mentally because I can't not.
Yeah,
He needs so much more attention, and they're my sort of worries. I know with my little brother as well, who is 4 years younger than me, Jordan. He was diagnosed dyspraxia through school, so he struggled with a lot of things that people with autism struggle with throughout school. He were really delayed, really behind, and I know how he was easily led into not into the similar things you've sort of dealt with in your life, but just everything, just down to anything anyone said he'd believe. You could lead him down a garden path and he'd follow you. He'd walk off end of a cliff if you told him, it was the place to go. And it's a worry. It's like I used to say, he's a bit green behind the ears. And we lived quite a sheltered life because my mum really protected him. So until my brother Jordan was like 18, he weren't allowed off the street. Neither were I. We weren't allowed out of mum's sight. But then on the other way, it pushed us away a bit quicker. As soon as we could, we did a bit too much. And you can be easily led, and I worry about Jonah when Jonah is your age, a bit younger than you, when you were going through these sort of stuff. That people take advantage. You get in with the wrong people. They see that you're a bit green behind the ears, Callum. They take advantage for their gain, and like you say, your ex there was able to manipulate you and get you in a position where you would have never left her if she'd have not moved away, because you didn't know anything else. Even though it was so painful, it was still, oh, somebody loves me. Somebody actually likes me. All these struggles, but she actually loves me. When deep down she doesn't. And it's the mental torture that's probably worse than the rest of it, because it keeps you going back, even though some sort, whatever sort of abuse it is, whether it is, physical, sexual, mental, whatever it is, that person goes back, because as bad as it is, I think they love me, and that's enough. And a lot of people won't be able to, see that. But you can't sort of see wood for trees, really. You keep going back for more. Whereas somebody who doesn't have autism, mate, maybe that's wrong. Do one and just switch off and move on from that. Where you can't, and that's so scary for me as a parent of Jonah, mate. Sorry to ramble on.
yeah, no, it is. It's a worry for parents how vulnerable their kids are. No, when you were touching on a younger brother with dyspraxia, I think I have dyslexia and dyspraxia. Now I
Yeah.
can't. My joints are not very strong. My hands, I can't tie my shoelaces, and I practice and practice. I remember one day I practicing for 2 or 3 hours, and I couldn't get it.
Hand-eye coordination just never.
Yeah, it's
never there.
And when the day does, I'll cry. It's like I've achieved something that's I can't do. The writing as well. It's like I was saying at the start. It's awful. It's every time I'm asked or I have to write something, the anxiety takes over, and I try and perfect it as much as you can, but I know deep down it's not there. And when I look at the people's I'm right now, I used to get jealous in school.
Yeah,
And dyslexia wasn't as bad. It was more in college, because that's where they did hit with dyspraxia for me. The joints, not being able to tie shoelaces, not just being able to holding knives and forks, hold it a certain way.
Most basic thing, in it you struggle with.
Cutting up food, even in restaurants now, or whenever I go out, I have to ask my girlfriend to do it. I can't physically do it.
Yeah.
And it is embarrassing for me. It feels it, because it's like be someone like, oh yeah, it's just cutting. You just cutting, but it's when you actually know, they're not just doing it for attention. It's you can't do it, and you're trying, and it's. I mean, one time nearly choking, because I ate a bigger piece than what I wanted to, because I just felt like, right, I'm just gonna instead of putting myself through that, I'll just and I was like, no, I need to. I think one time it took me nearly 15 minutes just to cut one piece of meat, And I remember when my whole family finished the food.
The smallest details, it's like climbing a mountain sometimes, tying a shoelace, like you say, try to cut your food up.
It's
like
just, it's just fine.
As a man, you don't want to pass your plate across to your mum or you cut my food up for me. So you're just struggling on. But it's all these simple stuff that people take for granted. Things people can do in 10 seconds can take you 10 minutes, Callum.
But she's really good, and she doesn't see it as that she's my carer or simple things. No. She accepts. She like, I wouldn't say she likes it, but she's fine with doing it. She's not going to judge me, because she's done it so long that she just knows that it's right. At times, in public, I'll make sure that I just tuck my lace in, and I know they'll keep coming out, and I know I'm a big advocate on walks. I love walking. The canal. It's such a beautiful place. It's the same. I could see it. I could walk it 5 days now, and I still won't get bored because I love that. And I'll just keep putting my lace in. I know it needs to be tied. No, I just put it in. It's just because I just don't want to bring myself to, if there's anyone around, even just attempting at doing it, because it's just that insecurity of, I know I can't do it. So I just see it as an easier thing.
No, I get that. How has sort of the transition then into work gone? I know currently you're out of work and you're struggling with that mentally, obviously financially, but I think you had a bit of an incident at one of your early jobs, I think. Do you want to touch on work, how you've transitioned into work, that adult environment with these major struggles to you, but what adults would see as minor, not being able to, the simple things in life that you struggle with? How are you coping with work? How did you cope?
Yeah, it was very hard. My first job was in Wetherspoons in a bar, and you'd think with someone with not many social, that but I loved it. It was only 6 months, and I loved it. I love being social. I love working with customers, and for someone with autism who where socially and COVID all combined into one, very difficult.
Yeah.
Where I remember one time a customer, 2 times actually. I remember the first time I didn't prioritize because you have to look after every customer there as you do in any other kind of customer base. I remember I looked after them and made sure everything was all right. And I remember one of them speaking to manager saying he's really helped me with that service, and just that bit of pride or that bit of positive, it really helped, and confidence. I want to link it to a football in Bamford, and when it comes to confidence, it plays on minds, and for me, that little bit of confidence made me shine for weeks and weeks. And it's just nice to know that people are noticing that I am trying my best. I might not be doing it at the same pace as everyone else, but I am trying.
You just need to give it a chance, don't you, mate? You just need to give it a chance. It goes
exactly.
My brother's struggling at work. Every job he gets, his probation, and they get rid of him because he's taking too long to get the training sorted, because he is behind even now. He's never been able to catch up fully. And that's something he's now, 34, and he's just gone through a period of 12 months, 6 jobs. So I understand your struggle, mate, with work, because I live it with my brother,
Yeah, and I left it after 6 months. A big regret. And that was when I first went into the factory work. And I just saw it as better money.
Yeah.
And that's factory for me. Work is the most anxiety place ever. How fast the machines are. That's when anxiety first hit in the workplace. It was awful.
Is the noise a bit too much as well? Is it just too much going on? Overstimulated?
Very overstimulated. Noise. Never really, as a kid, played a massive part. I was never really made sure that. And obviously, I know that most kids now, I know like Jonah wears ear defenders.
Yeah.
Because obviously I think noise for him or overstimulating situations he can't deal with.
Yeah.
And for me, it was never that as a kid. It was just when being in factories or warehouse, the noise is over limiting or overstimulating, and it's really hard to cope. But I kept putting myself in that situation because I saw it as I need money, and I'm going to put myself in situations even if I need the money. I'm still getting told these days, go back to these factories, it's better than now. It's like you don't understand. I can't, as much as I wish I could cope in places, and I want to be earning. I don't want to do that to myself.
Didn't you recently get a job doing something like that? And you went,
Yeah, not too far away. It was just up the road, which was good. There wasn't much travelling. And then it was the first day, the first night. It was the first night shift I've ever done. So it was something new. Again, another scary period. Anything new or any changes really hits and really anxiety. And the whole day I was worrying about it. It was working in, I think it was, I remember the induction day. I was walking around, I was fine. There was no noise, there was no machines going, I was completely fine.
Yeah.
And the next week, the first night of it, again, it was better money, so I saw it as a better opportunity to potentially gain financially. Yeah, it was a 10-hour shift, and just throughout it, I was crying my eyes out because with how the machine was, you can potentially chop your finger off because of how it's a weird and complex machine. I can't explain it, but I just remember crying. I was working with someone else. I was stood on my feet all day, all night. It was, yeah, I hate them kind of jobs. I'm not saying that I want to sit down and be in a luxury or comfortable place, but standing for 10 hours, I know people who do it, who work factories, and, you know, massive commence them, massive appreciation, because it's a hard job. It's a physical hard job.
Yeah.
And people who do it, I remember I was just crying. I was just tearing up and crying. And
You
I was,
messaged me, didn't you, saying you just couldn't cope? You messaged me.
yeah, I remember I couldn't cope. It was the morning after. I just couldn't cope. And I was like, I want to leave. And I had nothing to fall back on. I know most people who do leave jobs will only leave if they have something better or have something back to fall on. I didn't, you know, and it was really hard. And I remember speaking to my missus, and she was like, you know, if it's not, she knew it wasn't for me, and my mum and dad knew it wasn't for me. And I was like, I remember an hour before I set off, I was like, are you sure you wanna? Are you sure you want to?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I was like, no, but you've not coped with this situation before. I was like, no, but I wanna. And then you know, your parents know you more than anyone they know, and they knew it wasn't right for me. But for me personally, I just wanted to push myself, and yeah, it was awful. And I remember when going to sleep, I'm waking up, all I could think about was that machine. And you know, when people think it's just a machine, you know, it's just it's just a production line. It's like, no, it was one of the more scariest moments of my life. And still now to this day, I still think about it. I still have the flashbacks of it. I'm crying the other day about it. So I just thought of it for a little bit. It's awful. And anxiety it's a massive killer in terms of dominating my life.
Yeah.
And it's awful. And it's something that where, now, as you were saying, now I am struggling now with finding work.
That's a big chunk of the available jobs gone if you're not going to look at those sort of jobs, isn't it?
No,
so
exactly. That's more of the jobs going, because in kind of words, not many people want to do it because they see it as it's not for them. For me, it's not that, because if my anxiety was brought down, I would do it because there's plenty of work going, and it is good money. It's not bad money at all, and it's a lot of hours. So, and there's always overtime going these places, and you know, it's a massive part of the economy. You know, in terms of, you know, you're making chairs or making plastic. You know, it's huge. You know, and people depend on people making stuff like this. So there's a massive demand for them. And you know, like I said before,
sorry, mate, you've got the anxiety obviously with the machinery and stuff like that, and I understand the whole environment is not for you, and you know that now. But like, I just think for you personally, knowing you need, like you said, that Witherspoons, it's a massive, obviously, company, but each Witherspoons will have its own team, and it'll be a smallish team. I feel like you don't need to be a number in a factory. You don't need to be one of 100 on a production line. You need to be Callum, you know, one of 7, one of 8, where when you're having a struggle, you can go speak to your manager rather than a line manager who's then got 10 people. You need a smaller sort of environment, I think, at work, where you're not a number, you're a person, Callum. And some people can work as a number. You need that personal connection, I think, where they understand you and they're willing to give you that tryout regardless, you know? Would you agree with that?
Definitely agree. I worked at Audi. And for me, that's one of my biggest dreams, because Audi is one of the hardest in terms of the retail chain to get into. It's a hard process.
It is.
I think I remember 300 people went for it, and it went down to me. and another person. So I felt proud and I felt achievement. You know, I've achieved something. I've got something. It was only a short period. Again, I love that customer interaction. I know it's not going to make someone's day, but I had quite a number of times where people were down and I cheered them up, and you know, they went home with a smile. And
100%.
you know, I know that's not the point of the job. You know, your point is to make sure someone's shopping experience is the best compared to other chains, you know, because we are competing in chains in terms
smile,
of
mate, in a conversation.
exactly.
Sometimes is part of it,
And
mate. And that does
yeah,
make someone's day.
yeah, definitely, I agree. And where we are, there's quite a few retails. You know, there's Sainsbury's, there's Morrison's, there's Asda. So there's Iceland. I know they're changing into a food warehouse place because obviously I know our Audi got knocked down.
Yeah,
it's demanding and it's competitive. So you know, getting into a place like Audi where it's a small team.
Yeah.
The reason I have a smaller team compared to other retailers is because at the amount they do double the work, and they see it as it's better, and it's competitive.
Yeah.
And I remember the day that I did get let go, and it was a mutual. It wasn't let go because of I was misbehaving or that I was disrespectful. I just wasn't the same pace, and it was the main reason was because on the tills, it doesn't tell you how much change to give. And I noticed this compared to other ones, and it's
Callum, just like Jordan.
Awful. And I kept giving the wrong change, and they'd always check your tills at the end of the night, and always be down by £10 or £20. And it was never like, oh, I'm giving money away.
I know.
And I remember going into other retails, working. I remember going into Asda and Morrison's, and I remember seeing the tills, and I thought, that's telling you how much change. Why can't I have that? I know it's simple as well. You should be maths, and you should be able to work it out, but me, it's really confusing. Why would you not want to when, like, there was a risk of giving money away and not on purpose? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't steal it. I wouldn't give it away to customers, and it was awful. And I remember the night of being told, I was half through my shift. I remember being called into office. I was like, yeah, I knew where this was going. And even me, and I just remember saying to the I think it's the chain manager, or he's a small one. He's a manager of a few of them around. I remember saying, it was like, you know, the spike went, yeah, I knew what this was about. And it was a mutual conversation, it ended in a good way. I remember saying to my manager, you know, thank you for the opportunity you've been given it. You know, and I'm really grateful for it. I know I wasn't at the same pace, but it's nice to get experience in retail, get more experience with customers. But it was awful. It was depressing. It was just after Christmas. I remember doing the Christmas Eve shift. I loved it. It was hard work, but you know, being let go on New Year's Day, you know, the new year, and it felt like, is this where it's going? You know, ever since then, I've been in and out of work. I'm currently, I think the other day, in 2 days, I've applied for 70 jobs. I ran up 40 cafes. I ran up 30 bars, and I've got nowhere. And the job interviews I'm getting are in Leeds, and I can't afford that financially. I can't afford to go to Leeds every day as much as I would, and I can't. Especially financially, my girlfriend, she's in an apprenticeship. She's a nursery practitioner. It's always been a dream to work with kids, and she's a really hard worker. I have to rely on her, unfortunately, at times, because I can't get through it. I have a very small money to me at the minute. Struggling to get by. It's very hard. But yeah, it's just trying your best and just getting through it. And
good times around the corner, Callum.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, I've said that, and it's negative at the minute. I'm hoping something does turn my corner. But yeah, I think Leeds is the only thing that's keeping me going. It's
You're feeling in League One at minute, mate, personally, but eventually be back in Premier League, mate. Don't you?
I don't think I want to be back in Prem. That was VAR.
Good things come.
Yeah, Leeds is huge. It's everything to me, Leeds. It's a transfer window at the minute. I'm glad that we've got it. I'm glad that it's not just, all right, now you just wait until the new season because there's no activity. I know for content creators it's hard, especially you, Matty. It's competitive. Yeah. It's struggling to what to speak about because, you know, one, the news is already out there when you're doing it and you feel like you're behind, and also you feel like you're just repeating what everyone else is saying, even though you know that what you're saying is right. And I'm glad that I'm not in that, because I'm glad that I'm not in that pressure. And I take off my hat to you, and obviously shout out to Wilco Whites and everyone else who who produce good content at hard times, especially when games aren't going on. It's hard, you're having to scrabble around, speak about, but it's the only content that keeps me going, Leeds. It keeps me on, like I said, on the straight and narrow in terms of not thinking about anything. And I can't wait for when we kick off against Everton. It's brilliant.
So, mate, you probably, you know me, mate, I'm a passion merchant as well, but you're right up there as probably the most passionate Leeds fan I know. Like, it's very rare we have a chat outside football. I know, like you say, we work and stuff, and you know I can speak to you. I know you can speak to me about any mental health problems and vice versa. We do touch on that. But, like, our friendship were born through Leeds United, and you are an absolute passion merchant when it comes to that club. I went to a game where you were an absolute monster when we scored a goal, and I loved it. The enthusiasm, that promotion day in you when Burnley scored were just unreal again. Something not matched by many. So I absolutely love that, and it's how Leeds makes us feel, and it's not even just the football, is it, mate? It's the connections, it's the family unity, and for someone who's obviously struggled through his life, with autism and feeling behind and feeling maybe not part of something, to feel part of Leeds United when you're in the stadium and you've got a couple of strangers in front of you, behind you, side of you, to feel like you're all one. That's what football does. That's what Leeds United does. And no matter who you are, don't matter on sex, race, abilities, disabilities, anything, for 90 minutes during a game, we're all one. And beyond that, to be fair, look at the content and the way you feel in that sort of scene as well. That's what football does, and it's give you a sense of belonging, hasn't it, Callum? Something you've always strived for.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, none of my friends have ever been into football. And I'm one for my only conversation with people is football. Man, when I get sick of me talking about football, he doesn't want to hear it. He obviously loves football, but he's kind of past it. He's got bigger things to focus on. Providing for his family, drinking. He loves a drink every now and then. He does. It's his release off work. Like I was saying, he works. The average I think he must do is 65 hours a week. He's sat selling train tickets. And he works with good people, which I think makes it easier. And he's been working there for over 20 years at Northern Rail. It's a job I'd love to do. It's part of a great company. I said to my dad, if I could get a job on that, I'd cry, because I know that you're in a job for life. And the hardest thing, unfortunately, is passing an interview. But no, back to Leeds. Being part of our membership, I think our member. At times it can be controversial, our group chat, and people don't always agree. People have different opinions. That's what football's about, though. It's about having if everyone were the same, it'd be boring. The group chat won't be the same. And it's the first time I think I've felt part of something. I remember going to the Stoke. I remember going to the Peacocks to watch it in the pissing rain. I remember wearing grey pants, and they were just wrecked. I remember going to the bar and getting a Strombo, and someone was saying, I don't know who he is. He went, I recognise you're LFC Passion. I went, all right, yeah. And it felt, someone knows me after having 60 or something subscribers. It's mental, and that for me was like, someone actually enjoys my content and what I'm doing, even if it's just that one person. It's like 100%. Someone being noticed. It's nice, and I've always said to you, Matty, I've never done it to get noticed or to get famous, because it's very hard, especially in the Leeds, because of how, I'm not saying we're a small club, and I'd argue that against any other club, but a lot of people don't watch content because they see it as it's not something they enjoy. They don't. Like once they've watched the football, it's like that's them over. Unfortunately, we're not like that. We're too addicted. But like it was. I remember watching that Sheffield and Burnley game, that pub. I mean, it was one of the most boring games ever. Yeah. But it was brilliant in terms of, we all knew what it was riding on. I remember one of the clips from your video. We're walking through Leeds and we're just shouting, Leeds are going up. I've got my orphan mullet. It was too long then.
Those moments, mate, they were class, weren't they?
Yeah, they were the brilliant moments. We're all dancing, we're all shouting at a dog, you're Leeds and we know you are. It was quality. Right there shows what football does, you know. And for a club that's been hurt over the years, like Leeds, you know, been battered for everything from awful owners, ambitious owners who, you know, we've lived the dream in some ways, from Mr. Ridsdale, from Massimo to putting us almost in debt, from Radrizzani taking us up, but then at the same time not having the same ambitious and not having the financial backing, messaging fans in a season saying keep the faith, having embarrassing managers, having players ignore fans while walking through. I mean, we've had it a lot.
Yeah, we have.
From Daniel Farker, and for one man, I feel sorry for him. The amount of shit he's taken in these past 2 seasons, it's been mental because of the man that we all love in Marcelo Bielsa. Because unfortunately, people will not, and I'm not one of them, he will never live up to him. No. But does not mean does not deserve credit. He's had a lot of shit. He's had a lot of stick for the right reasons at times. You know, your meltdown with Priestley is one of the best things ever. It's quality. Everyone, please do check out that video if you haven't already, or please do buy the t-shirt. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Really good produce. Quality of clothing. And obviously we're back in the Premier. It's for the good reasons. And not, I think the one thing I will not miss in the Championship is not celebrating goals first time, because you're always going to have that worry of VAR. And I think I'm going to feel sorry for every fan in the stadium. Fortunately, I won't get to many games, and I'm not too bothered. You know, if I can get to the odd one or two, I'll love it. I think one thing I definitely noticed in the Prem, I thought that much level we go when we score a goal. The limbs are different, and I remember the first game against Everton in Bielsa's second season. I remember that first goal that Click scored. The limbs were mental. You know, we're back in the good times. Hopefully now, the right recruitment behind us. The 49ers know what they're doing. Over the last couple of days, there's been the occasional meltdown over a certain YA man, Sean Lundstad.
It has. It's been a fractious few days. What I will say is, it's Friday currently as we're recording this, but when this goes out, it will be either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not too sure, but let's hope between now and then, Callum, that this last couple of minutes of this video is outdated and we've got maybe a long staff and maybe a couple more, because we really need to. We really need to. We need to get that statement signing through the door. And I know that isn't long staff, but if he's one of the other underwhelming signings to come in, which I don't think it's underwhelming, but it definitely isn't a huge signing. Some would say it's underwhelming. Let's get it done, dusted, pay the couple of million more, get it done, and move on to the top targets. Because we're the only club for me, mate, who can get promoted and then have in the media we're sacking as manager 24 hours later. That's mental.
Yeah.
Also, 100-point season. We win the league, up promoted, title. You know, we enjoy a parade only 5-6 weeks ago, and now before a ball's kicked, we're up shit's creek without a paddle. It is craziness. We should be enjoying the time now. We haven't signed enough players. Well, we've signed 4. That's not a bad number. Yeah, but the quality's not there. They're all international players. There's an argument back and forth, and it depends what side of the fence you're sitting. But let's live on the positive side of life. Like we just spoke to you there, Callum. You've got so much shit going on. If you start panicking about Leeds United when there's nothing to panic about, what enjoyment have you got? Granted, if we're bottom at league after 10 games, you will feel like it's ending. But right now, it's not fucking ending, Callum. So let's live in the moment. Let's try and enjoy the fact that we're linked with players that we're saying some of these players aren't good enough quality, or some people are saying that. Imagine if we just did in Championship. These would have been dream signings, right? So let's just enjoy the moment, enjoy the process. The 49ers haven't steered us wrong for 2 seasons, Callum. We've had 2 of the best seasons we've had in current memory. And I just feel like, you know, you're very level-headed. You're like me. When it's wrong and when it's bad, you'll react to it and it'll come out because you can't help it. But right now, there's nothing to react to. So let's just try and enjoy the few more weeks we've got of no stress. Because when a ball's kicked, it goes up a few levels. But yeah, I don't know what to touch on other than that, mate. But I know you love Leeds. And you're very similar to me in your way of thinking with Leeds. Very similar to me. We agree on a lot of stuff, which is good. I like your way of thinking. Even though you're a closet Sheffield United fan these days.
Yeah.
You can plug him if you want. Knows you, mate. You can plug him if you want.
He's rising. He's just done a video with Just Joe. Massive. And he was really advocate of that. I'm in a group chat with nearly 100 of them. I think I'm only one of... There's a Sunderland fan, and he's massive an advocate of... He wants other fan channels on there. He doesn't want it just to be, I think he's done videos on Sheffield Wednesday of the current state they're going through as much as they absolutely hate. And I think he still pointed out of the, because everyone's been through it. Us as, we know what it's like being in, nearly liquidated and having owners who don't care. But yeah, like there's no meltdown. There is no. It's just United. It's called Ricky. He's a really nice guy. I think he's very close to 1K, and he really wants to get there. I think he's very excited for the new season, and he's very different to other Sheffield United fans. He was very anti-Wilder going, because I think he's more of a realism, as a bit like us with Bielsa. You'd get a very small portion that'd see beyond the greatness. As much as I love the man. I've said it. I've never loved a 66-plus-year-old man other than my granddad, like him. I love Bielsa, and I cried the day he went, like many other fans. But thank you for letting me come on. It's been emotional, up and down, a bit like the Leeds song. It's nice to get it out, because what I'm hoping it can relate with, even if it just reaches one person, they feel or something, it hits for me, and it's like it means something. I hope people take it in different ways. It's been a pleasure letting me on.
No, honestly, mate, it's like I say, when I told you I was doing the Full Time to Talk channel, the mental health channel away from Leeds United, you was very insistent that you had the opportunity to tell your story. And I would always wanted you on here. Like I say, you were the most nervous, I think, because how young you are, how fond of you I am. I was nervous about you coming on here, and there's a lot of similarities to my brother that I see. And I call you my little YouTube brother, daughter, like my Leeds brother. But no, honestly, you touched on some really important things that need to be spoke about. You've gone through quite a lot, and you're still going through it. But all I'll say is keep going, keep your head up, and I know you know that, and I know it's an easy thing to say, but for me, you ain't got a choice. Suicide thoughts at 11. You don't need to be having thoughts like that again. You're a good person. Ultimately, kindness is, for me, the best quality anyone can have, and you've got that in abundance. So keep going, mate. You've got great people around you. You've got great support system from me and other people, in the YouTube and Leeds scene who you've now connected with. So just keep being you, Callum. You're a really good young man, and I'm proud of who you are, mate. Let's keep going. But thank you for doing this, mate. Really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. Please leave comments in the comment box. Please let Callum know. Like you say, it's really important for us doing this, that if you are touched by it, if you do feel some sort of connection with what the guests go through, like Callum, please let him know. Please let him, please, Callum, his inbox is always open. You can find him through his YouTube, which I will link below, and you can always get in touch with Callum and speak. I'm sure I can say that, Callum, you'll be open to anyone reaching out, won't you, pal?
Yeah, definitely. It'd be appreciated. It'd be nice, although it's not a nice thing. To hear in terms of what you're connecting through. I'm always open.
100%, mate. No, you are. Thank you very much, mate. And please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Cheers, Callum.